The curse of the weeping woman, or as we call it, the curse of llaorona. Okay, now this basic film rotates around the story of llaorona, which is a Mexican folklore where the people tell you that when a children doesn't listen to their parents, then llaorona takes those children and drowns them in the river. Okay, well, definitely this is a folklore. There is no evidence to it because, as being stated by Father Perez, this is what is happening in the film. Llaorona is a spirit who had drowned her own children for because of her anger towards her own husband, and then after drowning her children, she committed suicide, and she was in frantic search of her own children. So the story revolves around how Llaorona kills the children of other women to kind of contemplate for her own children. Okay, now this is the basic storyline. Okay, now the thing is that this is one of the film of the Conjuring universe, which is being directed by Michael Chaves and produced by James Wan and some others as well. Now there are mixed reviews about this film. Okay, now if you ask me that whether this film was good or not, my honest opinion about is that it is definitely better than The Nun. Okay, now The Nun was a disaster. Okay, the kind of expectations we were having from the Nun film, it didn't live up to it, but definitely this film was better than that. But according to me, even though it was better, but still it was not that good. I mean, the concept was very good, okay, but it was not implemented properly. Now there are certain good things about it and disappointing things about it as well. I will talk about that right after this short intro. But before that, guys, if you are a new visitor, then please subscribe this channel and also hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my updates.
California coastline, midday Texas sun.
Well, according to me, the story started out very, very well. Okay, so we are watching the 1970s Los Angeles. Okay, yeah, I have to note one point that if thing is a Mexican folktale, then why the heck it is in Los Angeles? It should be held in Mexico. But to implement that kind of story, it was a bit difficult until and unless a Mexican character had not been introduced. Okay, now as we can see, many Mexican characters were introduced. I hope they were Mexican. Okay, like Ana Patricia, who was Latin born American, and she had her two children, Chris and Sam, and she had no husband. Okay, now the story followed like she was being sent to a house because she was a social worker, right? She was being sent to this house to a lady named Patricia because her children were missing. And when she was sent to investigate the case, she found out that Patricia was hiding her own children in a closet. And she only said that, don't open the closet, llaorona will be coming. Okay, now that was definitely very freaky, and that kind of started the sort of, calmness in the theater when I was watching that film. Okay, now it went very fine, and also the scene where Sam and Chris was sitting in a car, and Chris just went out of the car and saw the image of llaorona weeping, and then just was being touched by llaorona, and where he got the burn marks. It was very cool. And okay, and also that hospital scene where Carlos or Thomas, I don't remember who that child was. Okay, but it was one of the children of Patricia, and that scene where llaorona kind of confronts one of those children and suddenly shrieks out, that was so cool. And I was watching it in 3D, so it was so amusing, right? But the thing is that the basic storyline was fantastic, I think, but it was not implemented, was not carried out properly, because there were a lot of jump scenes or jump scares which was not at all necessary and which were not at all scary. Okay, to bring about the concept of that priest who was a former priest and who still believes in God but left the church, and that very scene where he was when he came to the house, was looking for things and putting that concept of the eggs. That was fantastic. I just love that scene. Okay, now everything was going just fine, and that scene where all the candles were being arranged on the floor, and suddenly when Llaorona was banging the doors, and suddenly the candles went one by one, and the scene where he was very pissed. I mean, the priest, right, the Mexican priest, he was very pissed and scared, and as if he was ready to run. That scene was very amazing. I kind of like that as well. It kind of illustrates the fear among those people and not being able to confront the dark spirit Llaorona. Okay, I also like the concept of the firewood that was being introduced here. But overall, the jump scenes I was talking about, and another thing when happened at the last, as you can see that when Llaorona was drowning Sam in the pool, and that locket was being taken away from her, and when suddenly Chris was holding that locket, and suddenly when Llaorona came in front of them, she took the form of a human. I don't know why it was being implemented and why it was necessary. I didn't like that. I don't even know what was it was illustrating, but I don't think that was necessary. And by the way, this is my honest thing about this thing, that it was being told that Llaorona was a good-looking woman, but the character that was playing Llaorona, I don't think she was that good-looking. I'm being very honest right here. Okay. Well, another thing I felt that when the concept of that Mexican folktale Llaorona was being told in the film, it should have been told much later when they confronted the spirit. Like as I know what was happening in the film, that after Chris confronted the dark spirit himself and went into the car and shut the glass doors. I remember that, of glass doors of the car, and then returned home, not telling his mommy that he didn't get the pawn marks from anywhere. Okay, now that was freaking okay, but this thing that happened then, Anna then kind of herself confronted the spirit, and I mean, it was not going well. If the concept of Llaorona had been said right along after the film, like it was a very short film. Okay, I will not say that it could have been made into a longer film. I'm not talking about that. 1 hour 30 minutes film, it's all fine, and many things could be integrated into it. Okay, all the darkly elements and all the elements for making a successful ghost movie or a horror movie is kind of, it was a good duration. Okay, it was an apt duration, but the thing was that the storytelling and the narration was very bad. Okay, and the last thing that happened, as you can see, that when Anna was approaching her new house and it was all sunshine and everything, and then we can see her reflection in the water. It kind of, from there people can sense a sort of a demonic possession of her. I mean, as we call it, the curse of Llaorona. Okay, but on an average, I would say it was not that disappointing, but it was definitely better than the Nun, as I said before. Okay, guys, if you like my video, then please share comments in the comment section below, and also hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my updates. So please share this video as much as you want, and feel free to comment anyhow you want to. Like, okay, thanks for coming. Thanks for